Now let's compute income tax due of an individual. We can classify individual income taxation into three: basic income tax, final income tax, and capital gains tax. Point of difference, taxpayer and the tax base. Kinds of taxpayer, tingnan natin yung general principles of income taxation. Diba? Meron doon na resident citizen, non-resident citizen, resident alien, and non-resident alien engage in trade or business. Meron din tayong non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business. And you'll see the difference. Pag hindi engaged sa trade or business, subject sa flat rate of 25% of gross income. Gross income meaning no deductions. It could be the gross sales or the gross receipts. Pero kahit non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, subject pa rin siya sa capital gains tax, 15% and 6% as the case may be. Now, as to resident citizen and the rest, kailangan natin silang i-classify as to pure compensation income earner, professional business income earner, and or mixed income earner. For the computation of the basic income tax. So may kinalaman din yung tax base or the kinds or the types of the income, whether it is compensation income, business income, or combination of the two. Also, yung passive income, meron tayong mga subjects sa final income tax. Yung capital gains naman, dalawa yon, subject sa capital gains tax. But remember, sa final income tax, subject lang yung certain income na sinabi ng tax code. Pag hindi sinabi ng tax code na subject sa final tax, anong treatment? Taxable pa ba yun o hindi na? Taxable pa rin. But the tax is the basic income tax. Ganon din sa capital gains tax. Pag sinabi ng tax code na subject sa capital gains tax, di subject sa capital gains tax. What if silent? Kung silent, subject sa basic income tax. Okay? So paano basahin yung table na to? All incomes not subject to final income tax, not subject to capital gains tax, are subject to basic income tax. Yung basic income tax, yan yung fina-file natin. Kasi pag final income tax, final withholding yan, yung taxpayer hindi na nag-remit kay BIR. May withholding agent. For example, banks. Nakatanggap ka ng interest income, may kasunod lagi yon na line. Pag tinignan mo yung statement of account ng bank o bank statement. Merong interest income, then merong withholding tax. Yung final withholding tax. So yung bangko, kinuha na yung tax at siya na nag-remit. At yun ay final tax payment na. Now we need to know the classification, kinds of taxpayer, and the kinds of taxes with respect to the situs of taxation to compute the correct income tax due. Pag resident citizen hanggang non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, subject sa net income tax, optional gross income tax na 8%. Makikita natin dito. May optional gross income tax, yung professional business income earner. Final income tax and capital gains tax with respect to income within and without. Si resident citizen lang naman yung within and without, di ba? Kasi yung iba, within only. Okay. But for non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, 25% of gross income. Flat rate. Except capital gains tax. Simulan na natin. Income tax due on compensation income. Common yan kasi mga empleyado tayo eh. Madaming empleyado. Lahat ng business may empleyado, syempre. Except yung mga solo. Yung hindi sole prop kasi yung sole prop, may company na sole prop eh. Ang may-ari isa. O sole prop yun. Pero yung solo, ayan, sole prop yun na walang empleyado. Soloist na talaga. Ito naman, empleyado. Okay, employee. Nasa point of view tayo ng employee. Kung magiging empleyado ka, ito yung applicable tax sa'yo. 0 to 35% or yung tinatawag natin na graduated tax rates. Not applicable ang 8%. What is the tax base? Taxable compensation income. And as we discussed, yung taxable compensation income means gross income less exclusion. Walang deductions allowed eh. Exclusion lang. Mga income items na specifically excluded by law. Non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, sabi natin, flat rate na yan na 25%. Pag minimum wage earners naman, they are exempt. Tingnan natin, anong limit ng exemption? Lahat ba? O hindi naman. No, taxable rin sila sa certain types of incomes. Sinabi lang ng batas, itong specific types of income exempt. The rest, taxable. Special aliens. Wala na to eh. Special aliens. Dati meron to na special treatment. So ngayon, under the train, subject na rin sila sa 0 to 35%. O yung 20 na yan kasi 0. Except, ibig sabihin na. Aliens, ito naman, introduced ng RA 11590 kasi madaming POGO sa Pilipinas. Aliens employed by POGO, subject sila sa 25% of the gross income. Taxable compensation income again. Remember, gross compensation income less exclusions. What are the exclusions? 13-month pay and other benefits up to 90,000. The minimum benefits, mandatory contributions. Ito yung tax table natin. Effective January 1, 2018 until December 31, 2022. It's sir, 2023 na. O, ito yung tax table mo ng 2023 na wala. Malayo pa yung 2023. Tingnan natin. Ang tax table ng 2023. Itong tax table ng 2023. Beginning 2023. Sir, anong gagamitin natin? Eh, depende kung anong hiniling ng problem. Kung sinabi ng problem na yung income ay 2022, gamitin natin yung tax table ng 2022. Kung ang income ay 2023, gamitin natin yung tax table ng 2023. Sir, paano pag silent? Ayun, ay di gamitin natin yung 2023. Okay? Pag nakalimutan. Ang tanong natin, paano gamitin yung table na yan? Kasi mag-compute tayo ng income tax due. At ang kino-compute natin ay basic income tax. Okay? Example. 2022 muna tayo ha. Then sa 2023, madali na yun. Apply the learnings. So Mr. A has taxable compensation income of 250. Magkano kanyang tax liability? Magic number yan eh, 250. Kasi yung first 250,000 na income ay exempt. Sabi sa tax table, exempt. Kaya may nakita kayo kanina sa table, 0% kasi exempt. Walang tax. So walang tax. Pag 250. O sana yun ang tanong para madali, di ba? 0 agad. At taasan natin para magka-tax. If the compensation income is 350,000, the tax due is 20,000. Paano na-compute? We need to look saan? Sa tax table. Yung 350,000 ay nasa ang bracket. Ayun. Andun siya sa 250 to 400. Hindi naman siguro mahirap yun, no? Sir, nasa dyan yung bracket ng 350. Ayun nga, to 250 to 400,000. Gamitin ang Sharingan para makita kung nasaan yung 350,000. Para saan yan? Kasi the first 250,000, merong tax due na 0. Saan nakita yung 0? Sa basic amount, letter A. Ayan o, basic amount. 0 yung tax dun sa first 250,000. Sa next 100,000, subject daw siya sa additional rate of 20% in excess of the first 250,000. Okay, in that case, i-multiply natin yung excess sa 20%. Nasa ba yung excess? 100,000 yung excess. Paano mo na-compute yung excess? Math lang daw. Math. 350 minus 250 equals 100,000 times 20% is 20,000. Okay? So your tax due is the sum total of the tax on the first and on the next. So 0 plus 20,000, mahirap yan. 20,000. Okay. Taasan natin yung income para malaman natin paano kung mataas yung bracket. 600,000. So saan tayo titingin ngayon? Sa bracket kung nasaan yung 600,000. Nasaan yun? 400 to 800. Huwag kayong mag-shortcut. Baka sabihin nyo, 250 yung gamitin natin, sir. Wala, anong rates ang gagamitin mo ngayon? So yung 600 ay nasa 400 to 800. Ngayon naman, the first 400, meron niyang tax due na 30,000. Maliwanag? Ano, basic amount, letter A, 30,000. And then the next 200,000, again, paano na-compute? The taxable compensation income of 600,000 less first 400,000. So the excess is 200. Sa 200,000, the additional rate is 25%. So 25% times 200,000 is 50,000. So your total tax due is 30 plus 50, that is 80,000. Okay? Nasusundan? Taasan natin. 1 million. So pag nakita mo yung 1 million, the taxable compensation income, pag sinabi nating taxable, edi yan na, yun nabawas na natin yung mga exclusions. Hanapin ang bracket ng 1 million. Yun yung 800 to 2 million. Okay? 2022 pa yan, ha? So anong gagawin natin dyan sa bracket na yan? First 800, magkano yung tax? Nakikita ba? 130,000. And then for the next 200,000 na excess sa 800, applicable rate is 30%. So 130,000 plus 60,000 is 190,000. Okay. Next naman, 7 million. Nasaan yung 7 million na bracket? 2 million to 8 million. So the tax due is 490,000. And excess, 5 million excess times 32%. So magkano? 1,600,000. Total income tax due is 2,090,000. Taasan pa natin, 10 million ang kanyang taxable compensation income. Magkano ang kanyang income tax liability? So nasa na ba yung bracket? Ayun, 8 million. Hanggang wala nang limit. Wala na. May forever na dyan. So sa first 8 million, magkano ang tax due? 2,410,000. And then, sa excess, na 2 million, the tax rate is 35%. So multiply natin yung 35% sa excess na 2 million, makukuha natin yung total income tax liability na 3,110,000. That is for 2018 to 2022 income. Kasi pag 2023 na, iba na yung tax table. Nabago, di ba? From 15 to 35. So hindi na 20. 15 to 35. Nagbago din yung basic amount. No, bumaba din ang basic amount. So paano gamitin yan? Ay, isang example lang. Kung 7 million yan, titingnan mo lang yung bracket kung nasan yung 7 million. And then, for the first 2 million, 402,000 yung tax due. Yung excess na 5 million, i-multiply natin ng 30% ngayon. That is 1,500,000. The total income tax due is 1,902,500. Okay. So isang example lang sa 2023. Para yan naman ang gagamitin natin sa mga discussions na sunod. Now, what if the taxpayer is a non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business? Ba't ito agad? Kasi kung non-resident citizen, resident alien, or non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, then similar treatment. Subject to situs of income tax. Pero kung not engaged in trade or business ang ating non-resident alien, sabi natin flat rate na 25%. So ang income tax liability niya ay 62,500. Kung siya ay naging Pinoy, exempt sana. Diba? Sa ating first example, si Mr. A. Kasi yung 250,000 ay exempt sa tax table. Kung hindi ka gumagamit ng tax table, wag mong lagyan ng exemption. I-multiply. Diretso. 25%. So meron tayong special class na taxpayer. Ito yung minimum wage earner. Now, discussion muna natin sa minimum wage earner. Ano ba yung exempt sa minimum wage earner? Minimum wage earners shall be exempt from the payment of income tax based on their statutory minimum wage rates. Sineset naman yan. Statutory minimum wage. So kung minimum wage earner ka, edi exempt, wala ka nang babayaran ng tax. Pero hindi lang yung basic pay ang exempted. Pati yung holiday pay, overtime pay, night shift differential pay, and hazard pay received by such earner are likewise exempt. Now take note, yung mga nabanggit, sila lang yung exempt. Kahit magkano pa yan, exempt. Pag tinawag mong statutory minimum wage rate, exempt yan. Holiday pay, overtime pay, night shift differential pay, and hazard pay, exempt lahat ng mga yan. What if the minimum wage earner receives additional compensation like commission, like 13th month pay, and other benefits, and more? What if this minimum wage earner is also a businessman? So yung other income or income other than the statutory minimum wage, holiday, overtime, night shift differential, and hazard pay, so yung other income niya, lahat ng yun will be subject to income tax. Pero yung mga nabanggit, exempt no matter what. Example, meron siyang minimum wage of 200,000. And then, meron siyang overtime, hazard, holiday, night shift, 13th month pay, de minimis and interest income from bank deposits, including final tax. Question, the corresponding income tax due. Take note ha, pag tinanong, how much is the income tax due? Anong tax yun? Basic, final, capital gains. Pag ganun, basic yun. Bakit? Basic nga eh. Pag silent, pupunta tayo sa general rule. And the general rule is the basic income tax. So anong tax ang tinatanong dyan? Ay the basic income tax. Lalo na sinabihan how much is his taxable income. The taxable income, yun yung gross income less deduction, ginagamit natin yung taxable income for basic income tax. So ano nang gagawin natin dito? Kailangan natin alamin magkano ba yung exempt, magkano ba yung taxable. So yung sa total income niya na 782,000, tatanggalin natin yung mga exclusions at exemptions. Ano ba yung exempt dyan? Ading statutory minimum wage, yung de minimis, at yung overtime, night shift, hazard, holiday pay. Yung 13-month pay subject sa limit na 90. So yung excess, matatax. So yung 10,000 na yan yung excess ng 13-month pay, bonuses, and incentive pay. Eh magkano yung tax? Eh di wala pa rin. Kasi the first 250,000 of the taxable income is always exempt. Okay? Always, sir. Always ba yun? O, pinakita natin kanina na pag yan ay non-resident alien, not engaged in trade or business, taxable yan. So, applicable sa resident citizen, non-resident citizen, resident alien, non-resident alien, engaged in trade or business. Another example, may income other than the mentioned exempt income. So mayroon kang statutory minimum wage, 13-month pay naman 16,000 lang, not exceeding 90, overtime and holiday pay, hazard and commission income. Eh tinanong, how much is the tax due compensation? Sir, sabi minimum wage earner. Exempt na ba automatic? No! Exempt lang yung types of income, yung specific income. Pero yung commission income, hindi naman kasama sa listahan yan. Therefore, taxable. Taxable, let's compute income tax of the 350,000. First 250, 0. Next 10,000, 15,000. Therefore, the total income tax due is 15,000. Okay? Ito yung usual sa mga compensation income earners natin. Nabanggit natin na ang compensation income earners are entitled or subject to substituted filing. Substituted filing, may nag-file pero hindi na yung compensation income earner. Sino na? Ay yung HR department ko siguro sa company ngayon. Pero may mga masisipag, either pinagsabay dalawang employer magkasabay. Kahit isa sa gabi, isa sa umaga, or parehas gabi, parehas umaga. Aba, ay magaling, no? Juggling. Or pwede rin naman nasa isang calendar year, for example, January to February, employer 1. Tapos hindi tumagal, no? March to June, employer 2. Nag-resign ulit. July to July, buwan lang. Employer 3. Then, August to December. What? Tumagal, no? May ham siguro yun, kaya inaabot ng Pasko. May paham yung company. So, madami siyang employers sa isang taon. Pwede ba yun? Pwede naman. Choice mo naman kung jumper ka o hindi. Walang problema doon. Yung ibang company kasi dinidiscourage. Eh, di-discourage talaga nila yun. Mawalan sila ng empleyado, mahal ang cost ng pag-hire. Pero kung gusto mong umalis, umalis ka. Di ba? Anyways, hindi pala yun yung topic. Ang topic, ano ngayon ang tax treatment kung madami kang employers? True to life story yan eh. Bakit? Kasi isang kakilala ko, 4 sa isang taon. Ay. Anyways. magbabayad ang employee ng tax. Hindi na siya entitled sa substituted filing. Mr. G had 2 employers. So from January 1 to July 15 and from October 15 to December 31. Ang tanong, paano natin i-compute yung tax due? I-combine ba natin? Now, take note, magkakaibang employers to. Independent yung computation yan. Siyempre, unless ibinigay mo yung prior data record mo, then nag-compute sila ng adjusted tax due. So, ang gagawin natin dito, compute muna tayo ng income tax due sa employer 1. Kasi yun yung remitted by employer 1. Diba? Substituted filing. So kahit dalawang empleyado mo, may substituted filing pa rin. Nagpa-file pa rin sila para sa'yo. Pero it is your responsibility to file 1700 na tax return. So pag nakuha na natin yung taxable compensation income of employer 1, ang gagawin natin ibabawas natin yung withheld income sa total income tax due. Okay? Magkano yung total income tax due? The total income tax due is based on the total taxable compensation income from all employers. So sa case natin, meron tayong first and second employer lang. So pagsamahin natin yon, 1.5 plus 532,000 is 2,032,000. That is the total taxable compensation income. So magkano yung tax dyan? First 2,000 for 90,000. Sa next 32,000, meron 10,240. So the total income tax due is 500,240. Okay? So yan po ba yung babayaran ng employee? Hindi. Kayo naman. Hindi yan kasi nabayaran na yan ng employer 1 and employer 2. Sir, nabayaran na pala eh. Anong pinag-uusapan natin dun sa employees with 2 or more employers? Ang pinag-uusapan natin, magkaiba kasi yung computation ng first employer and second employer. Hindi ganito. No, independent yung computation nila. Independent meaning ganito. Si first employer, nung nag-compute siya ng tax payable or amount to be withheld from this employee, ginamit niya yung tax table. 1.5, in-apply niya yung tax table. So meron siyang first 800,000. Magkano ang tax? 130,000. Next 700,000, magkano ang tax dyan? 210,000. So the tax withheld by the first employer is only 340,000. Hindi umabot ng 500,240. Eh sir, kasi may second employer pa. Party. Punta tayo sa second employer. From the point of view of the second employer, ang kanyang total income ay 532,000. Ngayon, sa second employer, wala naman siyang record nung ginawa ng first employer. In-apply ngayon ni second employer yung 532,000 sa tax table. First 400,000, meron siyang 30,000 na tax due. Next 132,000, meron siyang tax due na 33,000. So for the total amount of 63,000. So ngayon, anong tanong natin dyan? Magkano ang babayaran ng employee na to noong April 15, 2023 for the tax period 2022? So sabi natin kanina, ang total na income tax due niya supposedly sa combined taxable compensation income is 500,240. Ayan, sabi natin. And then, na-compute natin, the first employer withheld 340, the second employer withheld 63,000. Ba't ganun ang kanilang withholding? Kasi yung income na nasa record nila, in-apply nila doon yung tax table. So magkahiwalay, hindi nila kinumbine. Pero yung total na sinisingil ni BIR, combined. Meaning yung 250,000 na gamit na utilize ng first employer. At hindi lang yon, na-utilize din siya ng second employer. So meron ka ngayong dalawang exemption. I mean, dalawa yung nabigay sa'yo na 250,000 exemption kasi yung dalawang employers, ginamit nila yung tax table. O sir, tingnan na po natin kung totoo nga na may utang pa yung empleyado. O, alauna, alas 2, alas 3. That income tax due for the combined taxable compensation income is 500,240. But the amount withheld is only 403,000. So mayroon pang income tax is still due na 97,240. So saan ang galing yun? The premise is the first employer utilized 250,000 exemption and the second employer again utilized the 250,000 exemption embedded sa tax table. So 250,000 yung pinag-uusapan doon na dapat isang beses lang ginamit ng taxpayer. Kaya nga, combined compensation income yung basis ng income tax due kay BIR, less yung withheld ng employers, the income tax still due or yung income tax payable na nililabel natin is 97,240. Paano pag ang empleyadong alien ay hired by POGO? The applicable rate is 25%. Take note, regardless of residency. Meaning, kahit resident alien yan, 25%. Okay? But no less than 12,500 ang kanyang tax payable. Example, ito si Mr. G. Nakatira dyan sa may PUP. Pero empleyado siya ng World of Pogo. And then, 2020 siya andito sa Pilipinas. 2022 na yung taxable compensation income niya. Magkano ang kanyang income tax liability? Pa 2 years na siyang naninirahan dito sa Pilipinas. Resident alien na yan. Pero, since empleyado siya ng Pogo, the applicable rate is 25%. Still, aliens employed by Pogos. Okay, punta naman tayo sa income tax due on professional or business and other income. Ano bang mapapala natin dito? Kasi ito yung main. So ito kasi yung main. Madaming ano rin employers kasi pag may employee, may employers malamang. Yung iba gusto ring magsolo, di ba? For self-employed, they are subject to the graduated tax rate based on the taxable income. They are also entitled to the 8% income tax rate. The tax base is gross sale or receipts and other non-operating income in excess of 250,000. So may excess pa rin, di ba? May exemption pa rin na 250,000. And Yung non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, ganun pa rin. 25% of the gross income. Reminder sa taxable income, that is gross income less deductions. That is your taxable income. Saan ginagamit yan? Graduated tax rate na 0 to 35. Usually, ano yun eh? 20 to 35 noong 2022, 2018 to 2022. And 15 to 35% ngayong 2023. Kaya ginagamit ko 0. Yan, from 0 to 35. Kasi dalawa eh. Magkaibang years na eh. Take note, income subject to basic tax, professional, business income, yung ating gains derived from dealings and property. Sa capital gains, yung other capital gains lang. Sa interest, meron din. Earned abroad by resident citizen. Kasi kung non-resident, exempt yun. Situs of income tax. Earned as active business income like yung mga bangko. Yung interest income nila, revenue yon. Subject yon sa basic tax. Hindi yon passive income. Rent, passive income yan, pero hindi yan subject sa final tax. Royalties, earned abroad or earned as active business income. Dividends, yung mga liquidating dividends, dividends derived from sources without, earned by a resident citizen. Dividends from foreign corporations, received by individuals. Individuals pa yung pinag-uusapan natin. Usually, yung mga passive income ay subject sa final tax. Pero we have to take note na may mga passive income na subject sa basic tax. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, pag hindi subject sa final tax, basic yun. Basic tax yun. Annuities, prizes, 10,000 and below, and prices received by a resident citizen abroad. We also have the pensions and the partner's distributive share from the net income of the general professional partnership. Kapag kasi business partnership, so yung normal na partnership, yung distribution nun considered as dividends. Bakit naman? Kasi yung partnership ay considered as taxed as corporation. Let's have an example. Mr. G is a certified public accountant. In 2022, kumita siya ng 2,900,000 with cost of service and business expenses. Mayroon din capital gains on the sale of a personal car that is subject to subject sa income tax, sa basic income tax. Holding period is 5 years. So, hahatiin pa natin. 50% lang yung taxable. Personal expenses, hindi naman yan deductible. Capital gains on sale of shares appealed directly to the buyer. Subject na yan sa capital gains tax or basta hindi yan subject sa basic tax. How much is the income tax due for the taxable year 2022? Sinabi natin, dalawa ang pwede natin gawin sa self-employed or professionals. Ano yung dalawa na yon? Dalawa yung tax rates eh. Dalawang sets. Graduated or the optional na 8%. So, pag kinompute natin yan, magkaiba yung base kasi yung optional, gross receipts lang ang tinitingnan niya. 2,950,000. Pero yung taxable income, ba't natin kinompute yan? Kasi yan ay para sa basic income tax na ginagamitan ng graduated tax rates. So in that case, kapag graduated tax rate, ang tax niya ay 634,000 based on 2022 GTR. Pero pag ginamit niya yung 8%, 216,000 yung kanyang tax. 2,950,000 less 250,000. So the excess, yun lang ang subject sa 8%. Ang tanong, kailan natin pwedeng gamitin yung 8%? Kasi the general rule is the graduated tax rates. Diba? O, matatakil natin ngayon yan. So, before that, mag-compute muna tayo. Paano kung 2023 naman ang taxable year? Magkano ang income tax due? Considering na may sales siya na 1 million, cost of sales and expenses na 600,000, lotto winnings USA naman na 20,000. At wala na pong personal exemption. So dead man na yung 50,000. So in that case, ang taxable income niya ay 420,000. Kasama yung 20. Bakit? Subject sa basic tax. Sir, lotto winnings. USA. Abroad yan eh. Considering na siya ay resident citizen. Pero kung non-resident yan, o kaya alien yan, cross out mo yung 20,000. Why? Consider yun as without. Yung 20,000. Hindi taxable ang alien o kaya ang non-resident sa income from without. So kung resident citizen, isama mo lang siya subject sa basic tax. So now you have the taxable income na for 20, simply you can compute the income tax due based on 2023 GTR. Magkano? 26,500. Kung 2022 naman ang ating taxable year, considering yung mga binigay, net income na 600,000. Pero sa net income na 600,000, mayroong kasamang interest income earned from BDO. Kailangan nating alisin yan. Bakit? Kasi yan ay subject sa final tax. Mayroon din na gain on sale of real property not used in business. Kailangan mo ring alisin yan. Bakit na naman? Kasi yan ay subject sa capital gains tax at hindi sa basic tax. Rental income earned in Canada, properly included. Galing sa Canada, pero siya ay resident citizen. Kasama. Mayroon pa siyang royalties on books sold in Manila. 20,000 is subject to final tax. DEDMA. Okay? And rental income in the Philippines of 10,000. Kailangan mong isama kasi hindi daw siya naisama pero dapat isama. Isama natin. Yeah. Kasama-sama tayo. So ano mangyayari dyan? 600 minus 10 minus 40 plus 10. The unrecorded rental income. So your total taxable income is 560,000. Ano mangyayari dyan? Compute the income tax due based on the 2022 tax table. 70,000 is the income tax due. Hindi ko na pinakita kung paano kino-compute kasi pinakita na natin, madami na tayong examples paano mag-compute ng income tax due or paano gamitin yung tax table. Eto na ang 8%. The general rule is the graduated tax rate. That is the general rule. Pwede namang may exemption lagi. That is the 8%. When can you use the 8%? Sabi dito, individuals, hindi corporation, individuals, earning income from self-employment, hindi employee, hindi compensation, kundi self-employment and or practice of profession, whose gross sales receipts and other non-operating income does not exceed the VAT threshold na 3 million shall have the option. So the 8% is merely an option. Option to avail graduated income tax rates or so mamili ka. Gusto mo ng graduated o gusto mo ng 8% tax on gross sales or receipts and other non-operating income in excess of 250,000 in lieu of the graduated income tax rates and the percentage tax under Section 116. So remember, the 8% is in lieu of the GTR and the percentage tax under Section 116. Section 116. Reminder lang. Mamaya natin gamitin yung Section 116. Yan, kung qualified ka sa 8%, magpa-file ka pa rin ng tax mo naman. Pero hindi ka na magsasubmit ng financial statement. Hindi ka na naman magsasubmit talaga ng financial statement kung mababa ang iyong hindi kailangan ng audited financial statement kung mababa ang income. Pero dito sinasabi niya, pag nag 8% ka, no financial statements. Wala na ring percentage tax return. Bakit? In lieu of percentage tax na nga yung 8%. But you need to signify your intention to avail it, and you need to maintain books of accounts and issue receipts. Let's have an example. So meron siyang bookkeeping services at meron din siyang convenience store. So anong gagawin natin? Kung gagamitin natin yung 8% income tax rate, kukunin lang natin yung gross receipts. Dalawa lang naman yung numbers dyan. Di pagsamahin mo na. 1,100,000. Ibawas natin yung 250. Bakit? Kasi dapat in excess ang taxable. So 11 minus 250, the amount in excess of 250,000 is 850. Yun yung tax base. So 850 times 8% is 68,000. Tax avoidance scheme. Mamili ka. Kasi optional yung 8% eh. GTR ba o 8%? Depende. No? Halimbawa dito, kumita siya ng 2,2. Qualified ba siya sa 8%? Yes, kasi hindi lumampas ng 3 million. Pero ang laki ng gastos niya, 1,500 operating expense. So kung gagamitin natin yung GTR, 105,000 yung kanyang taxable income. Bakit? Kasi may professional ka, may professional fee, at pwede mong ibawas yung OPEX na 1,500 with a taxable income now of 700,000. Pero kung 8% ang gagamitin mo, 2,200,000 na professional fee, less 250,000, so the amount in excess of it, times 8% is 174,000. Makatipid ka ng konti. Diba? So yan yung tax avoidance scheme. Mamili ka. Pero kailan ka mamimili? Dapat sa first quarter. Kasi 4 na beses ka mag-file eh. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and annual. So sa first quarter pa lang, nakapili ka na. Paano po yun? Hindi ko naman alam kung magkano na yung aking income. Kaya nga may MAS para matuto kang mag-project ng financial statements at masabi mo sa client mo ang iyong assessment. Tama? So in that case, tingnan mo kung aabot ka ng 3 million o lalampas ka ng 3 million para makapili kayo kung magagamitin nyo ay GTR or 8%. Requisites. Kailangan individual. Kailangan sole prop, professional, self-employed, practice of profession, pwede rin naman na mixed income. Taxpayer whose gross sales receipts and other non-operating income did not exceed 3 million during the taxable year. Dapat registered and subject only to percentage tax na section 116. Kasi in lieu of 116 yun. In other words, kung hindi ka subject sa 116, meaning subject ka sa 117, 118, 119. Saan na po ba yun? Tingnan nyo sa tax code. Kung subject ka sa other percentage tax, then what will happen? Hindi ka makakapag-avail ng 8%. Have signified the intention to elect the 8%. Unavailable if purely compensation income earner. Pwede kasing mix, di ba? Ano ba yung mix? Compensation plus business income. Unavailable kapag VAT registered. Dapat kasi subject sa section 116. So unavailable din kung exempt from VAT or percentage tax. Kasi nga, hindi ka subject sa 116, exempt ka. Taxpayers subject to other percentage tax. Hindi ka subject sa 116, pero subject ka sa 117 to 125. Kung ano man yung mga other percentage taxes doon na pag-aaralan nyo next semester. Kung ikaw ay partners of a general professional partnership, not applicable. Okay? And individuals enjoying income tax exemption. Exempt ka na nga. Wala ka lang i-avail. Wala ka lang babayaran na tax. So, kailangan mag-signify ka ng intention. Pag hindi ka nakapag-signify ng intention, what will happen? Then, taxable. Anong tax? Tax table. Yan, graduated tax rates. Meaning, you need to compute the taxable income from gross sales, less cost of sales, less OPEX. Then after that, compute 300,000. The income tax due is 7,500 under the 2023 tax table. Kung subject ka naman sa other percentage tax like section 125, ano ba yun? Amusement tax. So hindi ka subject sa 116, which is the 3%. 1% pa yan so far. So kung subject ka sa other percentage tax, hindi ka pwedeng mag-avail ng 8%. Ano mangyayari? E di avail ka ngayon ng GTR. Compute the taxable income. From gross receipts na 2.5 less cost of service, OPEX, plus non-operating income. For the taxable income na 1 million, your income tax due is 152,500. So bayad ka ng income tax due, hindi lang yun. Bayad ka pa ng business tax na 18% on the gross receipts. Breach of VAT threshold. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Kasi yung VAT threshold natin, 3 million. So kung mas mataas ang income mo sa 4 million, ay sa 3 million, ang pinag-usapan natin ay gross receipts pa lang. Gross receipts or gross sales. Kung mas mataas yun sa 3 million, then bawal ka na mag-avail ng 8%. So anong gagawin mo ngayon? Avail ka na ngayon ng GTR. That's the general rule. So gross receipts na 4,250,000, less cost of service, less OPEX, taxable income of 1,100,000. How much is the income tax due? Subject natin sa graduated tax rate. So kanyang income tax due, 177,500. What if yan, mid of the year or sa dulo na ng quarter na breach yung VAT threshold? Kasi nag-signify siya ng Q1, so gumagamit siya ng 8% from Q1 to Q3. Parang ganito. Nagbabayad siya ng 8% based on the total sales. So ang taxable income, pero pagdating ng Q4, lumampas ng 3 million. Meaning, bawal na siyang mag 8%. Ano mangyayari doon? So, magko-compute na tayo ngayon ng income tax due based on the graduated tax rates. Ano mangyayari doon sa previous payments? Ibabawas natin. Halimbawa, ang taxable income natin for the year is 2,060,000. Saan nagaling yun? Total sales na 6.5 for the 4 quarters. Less cost of service, less OPEX. Sa taxable income na 2,060,000, mayroon kang income tax due na 289,200. Ay, income tax payable na pala yan. Income tax due na 509,200. Na mali ng tingin. So sa first 2,000, tax due is 490,000. Sa next 60,000, meron kang 32% na additional rate. So 19,200. So your total annual income tax due is 509,250. Pero nakapagbayad ka na ng 220,000 during the first 3 quarters. E saan galing yung 220,000? I-add mo na lang. Ayan o. 500,000 times 8%. Q1. 500,000 times 8%. Q2. And 2 million times 8%, Q3. Pero kung naalala nyo yung distributive property of multiplication, i-add nyo lang lahat yan, 3 million times 8%. Oh, so 3 million times 8%. Yeah. So yan yung binayaran na niya for the first 3 quarters ay 220,000. So dahil bayad na yung 220,000, ang income tax payable na lang niya for the year is 289,200. So sir, paano po ba na-compute yung 220,000? Ay, i-consider nyo yung 250,000 na exemption. Baka naman, sir, sinabi nyo, times 8% lang. Oh, times 8%. Pero i-consider nyo na yung 8%, yung 250,000 exemption. So sa 500,000, less 250. Okay? Sa next quarter, ganun din. Pero cumulative. Cumulative. So pagdating ng quarter 3, mayroon na siyang total na 3 million na gross sales or receipts. So ibawas natin dyan yung 250,000. Ang kanyang tax base ay 2,750,000. Tama? Times 8%. So ang total tax due niya for the first 3 quarters ay 220,000. Binayaran niyan. Malamang. And in that case, since binayaran niya yung 220,000, ibabawas na natin sa tax due to arrive at income tax payable na 289,200. Taxation naman ng mixed income earner. Pag sinabi nating mixed income earner, compensation income plus business income. Okay. Sir, paano kung compensation income plus non-operating income? Wala, compensation income earner pa rin yun. Sir, paano kung business income plus non-operating income? Business income pa rin yun. Ang relevant combination is compensation income and business income. Okay? Pag sinabi kong business income, kasama na yung practice of profession. Sir, practice of profession is not a business. Okay? Anyways, for brevity. Yan. So how do we tax mixed income earner? Compensation income is always subject to graduated tax rates. Business income is subject to graduated tax rate or 8%. Subject to conditions na binanggit natin kanina na to avail 8%. But take note, dun sa 8% na income tax rate, i-multiply natin siya dun sa tax base. Anong tax base? Gross sales or receipts and other non-operating income. Wala na yung 250,000 na exemption. Okay? Wala na. Bakit? Sabi ni BAR, the 250,000 exemption is already included in the tax table. Ando na daw yun. Kasama na doon sa tax table. So pag nag-claim ka pa sa 8% ng mixed income earner, doble ang makiklaim mo. So tingnan natin, ha? Dalawa ang manners ng computation. Pwedeng graduated plus 8%, pwedeng graduated pareho. So anong example niyan? Halimbawa, in 2022, siya ay financial controller na, tapos businessman pa. Hindi naman ganun yan, di ba? Aside from employment. So what will happen? Unahin na natin, halimbawa, 8% yung gagamitin natin. Unahin na natin yung compensation income earner. Kasi subject to sa graduated tax rates. Total compensation na 1.5 minus non-taxable na 90. Nandiyan naman, nakalagay yung 90. Nasaan yung 90? Yung 90, yun yung limit para sa 13th month and other benefits. Kasi hanapin nyo, sir, 120 yung nakalagay. 120 nga yung nakalagay. Kasi nga, 90 yung exclusion under the law. So sa taxable compensation income na 1/4, ang tax due dyan ay 313,000 using the 2022 tax table. So ano mangyayari dyan ngayon? Yan ay for the compensation income. Kasi mayroon pa tayo na business income. Yung business income, i-multiply lang natin ng 8%. Take note, i-multiply lang ng 8%. Yung business income plus other non-operating income. Wala tayong minus 250,000. Diretso agad. So 200,000 yung sa tax due on business income. And tanong natin ay total tax due. E di pagsamahin natin. Tax on compensation income plus tax on business income is 513,000. Now, kung hindi natin gustong gumamit ng 8%, gusto natin ay graduated tax rates, or kung disqualified sa paggamit ng 8%, no choice na yon, graduated tax rates. Paano naman natin i-compute ang tax due ng mixed income earner? E di mas madali. Bakit? Pagsamahin lang natin. Tapos isang application ng tax table. So magkano yung taxable compensation income mo? 1/4 plus the business income. Taxable income, gross sales less cost of sales less OPEX plus non-operating income is 900,000. Combine. 1/4 plus 900 is 2,310,000. Subject this to tax table. First 2 million is for 90,000. Next 310,000, i-multiply yung excess sa 32%, that is 99,200. So your total income tax due is 589,200. Pero yun nga lang, magbabayad ka pa ng percentage tax. Iyan naman yun. Na kailangan yung tingnan siguro sa strategic tax management kung meron. Another example in 2022. Kasi ito naman, ano bang ginawa niya? No? Gusto niyang matax din sa 8% na optional income tax rate. So meron naman kasi siya na business at compensation income. Yung business niya, 400,000 yung kanyang rendered service worth. Sa compensation income niya, meron siyang 200,000 as compensation income. So ganun din gagawin natin, no? Compute mo na yung sa compensation income, pero zero. Bakit? Ay 200,000. Ang exemption sa tax table, 250,000. So zero na. And then next, you compute the income tax due on business income. Magkano? 400,000 na gross receipts plus 80,000 na rental fee. Times 8%. Diretso. Walang ibabawas na 250,000. So that is 38,400. Eh sir, 200,000 yung compensation. O ano naman? 250,000 yung exemption. O ano naman? Eh hindi naman kasi. May sobrang exemption. Pwede bang i-carry over dun sa business income? Sabi ng BIR, no. Cannot be. Okay? Bawal. So, kung exempt ka na dun sa income tax due on compensation, kung na-zero mo na yan, wala na. Diretso lang na 8% yung sa income tax due on professional or business income. Paliwanag? Kaya nga natin yung pinapakita para makita kung ano ang treatment kapag may ganyang situation. Kaya sa tax avoidance scheme again, pwede kang mamili. Kung isa-subject mo yung isa sa 8% or parehas na graduated tax rates. Okay? Kung partner share in distributive profit naman, what will happen here? Compute, of course, the distributive profit. Kay Miss G, 1,437,500. Medyo kabisado nyo na yan. Partnership and corpo nung first year, second sem. Okay? So napapansin nyo dyan, hindi nagbayad ng tax yung partnership. Bakit? Ayun, net income for distribution to partners agad, 5,750,000 times interest ni Ms. G. Ibibigay agad. Kasi nga, this is a GPP, General Professional Partnership, is a pass-through entity. Okay? Pass-through entity lang yan. So, diretso na yan kay Ms. G. Kunin lang yung share niya, and then automatic, dun na magbe-base ng tax liability ng individual partners. So, magkano ang tax? So, 1,437,500. For the first 800,000, you have 102,500. For the next 637,500, the additional rate is 25%. So that's 159,375. Sir, pwede po ba na 8% bawal? Nabanggit natin kanina, cannot avail 8% para sa individual partners ng GPP. E di mag-solo prac ka, solo practitioner, kung gusto mong mag-avail ng 8%. Kung non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business naman ang ating businessman, what will happen? So compute natin yung income earned within the Philippines, kasi 1/5 lang daw, e di multiply mo sa 1/5 or i-divide mo ng 5. And then times the 25% flat rate para sa non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business. Therefore, 125,000 ang kanyang tax liability. Sir, pwede po bang yan lang ang given? Yan na lang. Puro non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business na lang kasi lahat ay 25%. Eh di kayo gumawa ng exam. Okay, taxation of passive income. So remember, almost sabi nila, ay di ba yung passive income subject sa final tax, no? Na hindi na ikaw nagpa-file sa BIR, hindi subject sa basic tax. Well, take note, para makapag-impose ng final tax, dapat derived from sources within. So yung passive income mo, derived from sources without, ay di hindi yan subject sa final tax. Kung hindi subject sa final tax, hindi subject sa capital gains tax, subject yan sa basic tax. Maliwanag. Okay? Dapat specifically provided by the law. Dapat not exempted, not excluded. Anyways, let's go. Ito yung mga passive income na hindi subject sa final tax. Ano yan? Yung passive income derived without. Prices amounting to 10,000 or less. Subject yan sa normal income tax or the net income tax. Yung PCS1 lotto winnings derived from sources within amounting to 10,000 or less, exempt yan. Tingnan nyo yung difference, ha? Parehas 10,000 yan. Yung isa subject sa basic tax, yung isa exempt. And then interest income from long-term deposit or investment held for more than 5 years, exempt. So dito, summary lang kung anong tax treatment ng interest. Focus tayo sa final tax, syempre. The rate is 20%. The tax rate, the final tax rate is 20%. If it is interest under the expanded foreign currency deposit system, 15%. Pero para lang yan sa mga residents. Could be resident citizen or resident alien. And then, example. Interest income from bank deposit Philippines. Yan lang dapat ang subject sa final tax. Kasi yung USA, subject na yan sa basic income tax. Tama? So, i-multiply lang natin ng 20%. So, baka naman itong hilingin nyo, sir, pwede bang final tax na lang lahat ang exam? I-multiply mo lang ng 20%. Lagyan natin, pero take note yung sa USA or yung without, ay hindi yan subject sa final tax. Sino magwi-withhold sa labas? Oh, wala. So, hindi, cannot be, di ba? Cannot be. So, ito naman. May konting twist, mathematics. Natanggap niya 80,000 net. Net amount. Magkano yung final tax? Ang kailangan mong gawin muna, gross up mo muna. Yung 80,000 net, divide 80%. So, nanggaling yung 80%. 20% yung final tax. So, yung kabaligtaran ng 20, 100% minus 20 is 80%. So, The 80,000 constitutes 80%. Magkano yung 100%? Eh di 100,000. Yung 100,000, that's the gross amount, yun ang tax base. So 100,000 times 20% is 20,000. Very good. Okay? So tingnan mo yung problem. Net ba o gross? Sir, paano kung silent? Ay, gross amount yun pag silent. Anong nangyari dito? Non-resident alien, 3 months lang nagstay, o hindi umabot ng 180 days. And then, kumita pa. Ha? Kumita pa, ha? Magkano ang kanyang income tax due? Times 25%. Kasi siya ay non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business. Okay. Deposit substitute. Kasi kung mababasa nyo, exempted din yung deposit substitute. Ano ba yan? Hindi yan deposit. Substitute nga yan eh. Ano ba yung deposit? May bangko, then may mga depositors, naghulog sila ng deposit sa bangko. Anong contract yan? Loan. Ha? Loan yan. So itong deposit substitute, hindi bangko yung pinag-uusapan natin. Pero yung pera na hawak niya ay nanggaling sa public. Kung anumang instruments yung ginamit nila. Basta yung pera na yon na hawak nitong non-bank na to ay galing sa public. And when we say public, yun ay borrowing from 20 or more. Yan, 20 or more. So kung nangutang ka, nangako ka ng interest, tapos yung inutangan mo ay 20 or more, kailangan mong mag-withhold ng final tax nila. Subject na yun sa final tax. Deposit substitute. Ito ang example. Hindi deposit substitute yung interbank call loans. Implication, the interest will be subject to the 20% final tax. What if it's not deposit substitute? Nangutang ka sa 5 tao lang? Then the debt instruments that are not deposit institutes, regular income tax applies. Ano naman yung expanded? Kasi nakita natin 15% to. Expanded. 15% sa residents. Pag non-residents, exempt. So ito yan, expanded. Eh di dollar deposit. So what if the dollar deposit ay joint accounts? Eh di hatiin mo. Halimbawa yung mga seaman. So ang gagawin dyan, hatiin mo lang yung joint accounts. 50% taxable, 5 times 15%. Kasi para yun sa resident. Yung seaman, di ba, iniwan niya yung asawa niya dito para makapagtrabaho siya. Nagpadala ng pera. Dolyar. So yung 50% na para sa wife na resident citizen, yun ay subject sa 15%. The other 50% will pertain to the seaman, to the OCW or to the OFW, non-residents, so the other half will be exempt. So, i-multiply mo muna ng 50% times the final tax na 20%. Para makuha mo yung income tax due pertaining to the spouse. Sir, 50% talaga? Hati talaga. Oo naman, conjugal yan eh. Exempt interest income. Pag long-term deposit, and then the holding period is 5 years or more, exempt yan. Except dun sa not engaged in trade or business. Pero pwede mo namang i-preterminate. Pag na-preterminate, subject na sa tax, sa final tax. Alin ang tax base? Entire income. Okay? So kailangan malaman natin kailan mo na-preterminate. Kasi kung less than 3 years, 20% pa rin. Kung 3 to 4, 12% na yun. Kung 4 to 5, 5%. Halimbawa natin, no? Long-term deposit. When we say long-term deposit, not less than 5 years, issued by the banks, prescribed by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, ibig sabihin, this applies only to Philippine. Okay? Philippine banks. Kasi governed siya ng BSP. Ay, Philippine banks. Dapat yan ay Philippine peso lang. Peso. Peso deposit. Okay? Peso deposits. Hindi pwede yung mga dollar deposits or dollar investments. Pre-termination. Subject sa yung inter-income will be subject to tax. So halimbawa, si Luna nag-invest ng 1 million. Kaso, kailangan niyang i-terminate ng July 1, 2023. That's 3 years. 3 years, no? More than 3 years naman pa yan. Kasi 2020, then 2021, 2022. So 3.5 years pala. So how much is the final tax due in 2023? So kailangan muna nating malaman magkano yung inter-income. That's 1 million times 10% times 3.5 years. Yun yung inter-income niya. So i-multiply mo ng 12% yan, what will happen? 42,000, that's the income tax due. The final tax on interest. Now take note, yung mga interest natin na subject sa basic income tax, huwag kalimutan. Example, kung siya ay resident citizen, then yung interest income from Bank Deposit USA kasama. So tatanggalin lang natin dito ay yung from the Philippines. Kung siya ay non-resident citizen, huwag nang mag-atubili, tanggalin lahat ng tagalabas. Yung mga lahat ng may USA. So napasama dyan yung interest income from Bank Deposit Philippines, tinanggal na rin natin kasi yan ay subject sa final tax. Taxation on rent. Subject sa basic tax. So remember lang yung recognition ng rent kapag cash, kapag may advance rent, reported in full. And then computation and leasehold improvement, outright or spread out. Income tax on royalties. Magkano to? 20 in general. Pag books, literary works, musical composition, 10%. Okay? So halimbawa, si Mr. Mello, composer and top hit songs during the pandemic. So in 2020, kumita siya ng 10 million in royalty fees. So 10 million times 10%. Bakit 10 yung ginamit? Kasi composition. O ito naman, non-resident alien who went to the Philippines for a 2-day trip. Kumita pa! Nagbakasyon lang, kumita pa. So 800,000 times 25%. Bakit 25? Non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business. So meron din tayong mga royalties na subject sa basic income tax. Ang example niyan, ikaw yung author, ikaw yung publisher, ikaw yung distributor, ay ikaw na lahat. Okay? So naging active income yung pagsusulat ng libro. So since yan ay active income, walang final tax. Ano meron? Eh di basic tax. Declare mo ngayon yan as active income. Dividends, ito ang tax treatment natin dyan. Ang final tax on dividends ay 10% for resident citizens, non-resident citizens, and resident alien. Pero pag non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, 20. Pag not engaged, 25. Take note, shares sa ordinary partnership treated as dividends. Pero pag general professional partnership, pass-through entity. Okay. So halimbawa si Ms. Martes, resident citizen, owns 1 million shares ng MWC and then nag-declare ng $2 share cash dividends during which the fair market value of the share is 1 peso. So how much is the final tax on dividends? So 1 million shares times 2. Kasi yun yung cash dividend eh. Yung binigay sa'yo. Times 10% na final tax. So, 200,000. Next, taxpayer received during a taxable year, the following. You have the interest on bank deposit under FCDU. Ay, alamin natin, taga saan tong taxpayer na to? And non-resident alien engaged in business. So non-resident siya, exempted siya sa FCDU na final tax. Then you have royalty on software application cost na 95,000. Dividend income from domestic corporation na 150,000. So what is the amount of final tax from the above passive income? Gagamit lang tayo ng single rate kasi siya ay non-resident alien island. Engage pala siya sa business. So dahil engage siya sa business, so ganun pa rin, no? Ang mawawala lang ay yung 170,000. Pero yung rate ng royalty, 20. Rate ng dividend, 20. So the total income tax, the final tax is 49,000. Okay? Ito naman, stock dividends. Declaration, stock dividends. So nakatanggap siya ng dividends. Magkano ang final tax? Wala. Nada. Bakit? Eh kasi nga, stock dividends. And as we discussed, dapat yung sa stock dividends kasi walang received value. Di ba? Hindi siya considered as income ang stock dividends. Meron din tayong mga dividends subject to basic income tax, yung liquidating, shares sa GPP, General Professional Partnership, dividends derived from sources without, and dividends from foreign corporations. So subject sa basic tax yun, we are talking about individual. So wag niyo munang tingnan yung mga nakikita nyo na about corporation, yung dividends from foreign corporations na exempt. Eh corporation ang pinag-uusapan. Doon individual muna tayo. Ano ba yung liquidating dividends? Nag-invest ka, halimbawa, ng 1 million pesos. Then, dinisolve nyo na yung company. Upon dissolution, nakatanggap ka ng 1,500,000. Ang tawag doon, liquidating dividends. So, may gain ka na 500,000, anong gagawin mo dyan? Hindi naman yan subject sa final tax. Kasi nakalagay sa final tax, cash and or property dividends. Eh hindi, liquidating dividends ang tawag dito eh. So, what will happen? Yung 500,000 will form part of your taxable income. Ganun din sa dividends from foreign corporation subject sa regular income tax na individual. Please consider the situs. Tatanggalin natin muna yung sa corporation. Annuities, part niyan ay taxable, part hindi. Ano titingnan natin? Yung premium. If it's return of premium, non-taxable. If it's beyond the premium or in excess of the premium, the excess will be considered taxable. Income taxation on prizes and winnings, remember. Prizes exceeding 10,000, 20. Pero pag 10,000 and below, basic. Other winnings, walang pakialam sa other winnings, 20% lang, flat rate. Sa PCSO naman, nasa winnings pala itong PCSO nga pala. PCSO little winnings, not exceeding 10, wala na. Pagod na. Not exceeding 10,000, exempt. Okay? Pero pag nag-exceed ng 10,000, taxable na 20%. So prizes and winnings not subject to final tax, eto, na banggit natin to kanina. In addition, yung prizes and awards primarily made in recognition of religious, charitable, scientific, educational, artistic, literary, or civic achievements are exclusions from gross income if the recipient was selected without any action on his part and the recipient is not required to render substantial future services. So take note ha, religious, charitable, scientific, educational, artistic, literary, or civic achievement. Ganon din yung sa sports competition. Lumaban sa ibang bansa, nanalo, sanctioned by the National Association, exempt ang income sa income tax kung merong income. Sir, paano si Hedelin ko? Ang dami nag-donate. Eh, donation yun. Hindi income yung donation. Kasi nga, sabi natin, exclusion siya under the tax code, yung mga donations. So, hindi yun subject sa income tax. Okay. In summary, Caridad received the following passive income in 2023. How much is the final tax? So we need to consider alin dyan yung subject sa final tax. Ay. Ang subject sa final tax, BPI, deposit. Okay. Yung dollar deposit, subject din kasi siya ay resident citizen. Pero anong rate? 15%. Interest deposit in Singapore ay nasa labas. So yan ay hindi subject sa final tax. Bakit? Ay nasa labas nga. Dapat within lang. Prize won in local lottery, final tax na 20. PCSO winnings, 20%. Prize won in a contest in US, outside the Philippines. So wala yan. Lotto winnings in US, wala rin yan kasi outside the Philippines. And dividends from a domestic company, that's 10% for a resident citizen. So ito, ang nangyari sa kanya. Total final tax is 705,000. So meron din naman tayong prices and winnings subject to basic income tax. Pensions, no? Subject yan sa basic income tax. Unless yung mga pension na non-taxable. Oops, ano to? Informer's reward. So kung may kakilala ka na tax evader, isumbong mo sa BIR. Baka kay bonggang-bonggang bumbong mo isumbong. Pag sinumbong mo kay BIR yan, then pwede kang makakuha ng reward not exceeding 1 million. And then taxable, anong rate? 10%. Kapag non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, lagi namang 25% except dun sa capital gains tax. So pag-usapan na natin siguro yung capital gains tax. Dalawa lang naman yan eh. Shares of stocks not traded in the stock exchange and sale of real property. So pag stocks, 15%. Kapag sale of real property, 6%. Ito yung mga taxable stock transactions. Ang focus naman natin dito yung capital gains stocks, not traded to the local stock exchange. So bumili siya ng unlisted shares amounting to 1.5. After 6 months, benenta niya ng 2.5. Wow! Nakabenta ng 2.5. So meron siyang gain na 1 million. Compute na income tax liability. So yung 1 million na yan, i-multiply mo ng 15%, ibabayad mo kay BIR yung 150,000. Okay? May share si BIR. Sir, hindi ba dito nag-a-apply ang holding period? Hindi. Hindi po nag-a-apply. Baka mamaya, gamitan niyo ng holding period. Wag mong gagamitan ng holding period ang capital gains tax. Kasi holding period, para yun sa basic tax. Ngayon, take note, ito ay para sa capital gains tax ng arising from the sale of shares. So, meaning yan, capital asset. Sir, pwede bang ordinary asset yung shares of stocks? Oo naman, eto nga. Dealers and securities. So, kung dealer securities ka, yung mga stocks, inventory nila. Kung inventory nila yan, ordinary asset. Kung ordinary asset, basic tax. Okay? Hindi siya capital gains tax. Kasi in dealers and securities, ay yan talaga ang buhay niyan. Buy and sell ng securities. Kapag mayroong sale through PSE, percentage tax ang tawag dito. 0.6 of 1%. Kung yan naman ay traded through the local stock exchange. Kung hindi traded, then the net capital gains will be subject to the final tax of 15%. All individuals, even the non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, subject sila sa 15% na capital gains tax. Ito na yung example natin kanina. Sale of shares not traded. Pero ang scenario naman na to, ay computation ng gain. Bakit? Kasi may donation eh. So, ang kukunin mo ay yung value at the hands of the donor. So, selling price na 3 million less 200,000 value at the hands of the donor, the net capital gain is 2.8. 2.8 times 15% to 420,000. So, yun yung babayaran nila na CGT. Laki, no? 420,000. Ba't lumaki ng ganun yun? Kasi donation. And the cost base is the value at the hands of the donor. Kasi kung yan ay inheritance, sa inheritance, ang cost base natin ay fair market value at the time of the death. A fair market value at the time of the death, magkano? Assuming na 2 million yung fair market value at the time of the death. 2 million. So 3 million minus 2 million, 1 million lang. Sana ang tax base. So 1 million times 15% is 150,000. Malaki pa rin, pero at least nakabawas. Di ba? So ganun ang gagawin nyo kung nag-focus kayo sa tax. Sasabihan nyo sila how to avoid tax. So hindi naman how to evade. Avoid lang. Pursuant or still under the law. Kung real property naman, ang tax base natin ang tax rate natin ay 6%. Pero ano yung tax base? Kasi kanina, the tax rate is 15, the tax base is net capital gain. In this case, the tax rate is 6, but the tax base is the gross selling price or the fair market value, whichever is higher. Binabaan mo yung rate, ang taas naman ng tax base. Kasi gross selling price eh. Ano ba yung fair market value na sinasabi dito? Dalawa yan. The fair market value as determined by the commissioner or what we call the zonal value and the fair market value as shown in the schedule of values of the provincial and the city assessors or what we call the assessed value. So whichever is higher dun sa tatlo, gross, fair market, zonal, or assess or zonal, so whichever is highest, then that would be the tax base. Example, 3 million vacant lot, no? Yan yung gross selling price. The assessor's fair value is 2.8. The zonal value is 3.2. The appraisal value is never mind. Bakit never mind? Eh, kasi sabi sa law na eh. Sabi sa law, tatlo lang, gross selling price, the zonal, and the assessed. Ilan tingnan natin. Yung appraisal value by a private entity, deadma. So how much is the capital gain? Kunin natin yung 3.2, i-multiply sa 6%, that is your capital gains tax. Ito naman, pahirapan natin na konti. So ang dito, alam niyo naman to eh, familiar kayo sa problem na to. Hanapin lang natin kung nasan yung highest amount. Maghahanap pa tayo. Kasi kailangan natin idagdag na 1.5 that is for the house. But for the lot, you have 500 square meters times 5,000 per square meter na zonal value. So in that case, the capital gains tax is 1.5 plus 2,500,000 times 6%. So that's 240,000. Dahil ang tax base ng capital gains tax in the sale of real property is the gross selling price or the fair market value, whichever is higher, merong tax CGT, merong CGT pa rin kahit nagbenta ka ng palugi. Halimbawa, binili mo ng 5.5, binenta mo ng 3.5 when the fair market value of the land is 3 million. That how much should he pay from this sale transaction? Kukunin mo yung whichever is highest. Pero, highest among what? Highest among the gross selling price and the fair market value at the time of the sale. So in this case, ang pamimilian mo lang 3.5 or 3 million. Kasi yung 5.5, that is cost. Hindi yan kasama sa payabangan, ay sa pataasan. So, 3.5 times 6%, that is your capital gains tax. If the real property is disposed to the government, benenta mo ng palugi, halimbawa, then you have a choice whether to subject it to basic income tax or to the capital gains tax at the rate of 6%. Take note, there is a full exemption and there is a partial exemption. Kailan makakapag-avail ng full exemption? Kapag ang transaction ay sale or disposition of principal residence by natural person, fully utilized within 18 months, historical cost ay carried over, nakapag-file ng tax return within 30 days, and availed only once every 10 years. So example, yan. Ha? Sinabi dyan na binenta niya yun for new principal residence. So kahit hindi nabanggit lahat ng elements na yan, goods na tayo. Kasi yun na yung direction ng problem. Wala naman siyang sinabi about anything. Diba? So zero na yan. Kasi the capital gains tax is zero. Pero tinatanong, magkano yung dapat mong i-deposit sa escrow fund? Escrow. Eh di dapat mag-deposit ka ng 210,000. The full amount of the capital gains tax. Andun lang yun sa escrow fund. And then after makapag-issue na ng e-car, ayan, pwede mo nang bawiin yung 210. So binabawi kapag na-verify or na-validate ni BIR na exempted. Meron din tayong partial exemption, which is largely based on utilization. Hindi mo nagamit lahat ng funds, ng proceeds para makapagpatayo ng bahay or na-delay yung construction ng bahay. So what will happen? Partial lang ang exemption, kung partial din ang utilization. So ito yung formula na ginagamit natin eh. No, unutilized amount over the gross selling price times GSP or the fair market value, whichever is higher. That is a taxable portion. Pero take note, itong formula ginagamit mo lang if the gross selling price is higher than the fair market value. Kasi kung other way around yan, ayan, kailangan mong gumamit ng formula. Example, no? Dito, Janet, sino si Janet? Siya si Jay. Janet utilized the 4 million for the purchase of a new residential house. So how much is the capital gains tax? I-compute muna natin yung tax base. No, ang tax base natin dito, binenta mo for 5 million where the fair market value is 6 million. Okay? So ang tax base natin dito, yung 6 million supposedly. 6 million times 6%, yun na dapat ang labanan, di ba? It's 3,600. Ngayon, what will happen is hindi niya na-utilize yung buong proceeds na 5 million. So, kailangan natin gawin magkano ang taxable portion. Kasi 5 million mo binenta, yun yung inflow, pero 6 million yung fair market value. Sa fair market value ka magbe-base ng income tax due. Pero since partially exempted, kailangan mahati natin yung exempted dun sa taxable. So what will happen here? 1 million, ano yung 1 million? That is the unutilized amount. Ang proceeds ay 5 million, ang na-utilize ay 4 million, so meron kang remaining na 1 million. Unutilized amount over the gross selling price na 5 million. Anong rate yun? 20%. Ano mangyayari sa 20%? 20% is the unutilized amount. Tama? So 20% of 6 million is the tax base. That is your 1,2. So yung 1,2, i-multiply mo ng 6%, 70,000 is the capital gains tax. Or simply, pwede namang 1/5 1/5 of 6 million times 6%. Kasi 1/5, di ba? Na-utilize mo yung 4 million, hindi mo nagamit yung 1 million, so ang utilize is 1/5. So that's the taxable portion. So 1/5 of the tax base na fair market value na 6 million times the tax rate na 6%. So same naman. Math nga lang daw yan. Kayo talaga. Then we have other capital gains. Remember, subject na sila sa basic income tax. Okay, compute tayo ng total. Ano mayroon dito sa total? Total income tax expense. Pag sakasamahin natin, magkano yung basic, magkano ang final, magkano ang capital gains tax. Identify natin, syempre. Basic yung una, final yung royalty from books na 10% kasi books. Capital gains tax yung 70,000 kasi direct sale to the buyer. Capital gains tax yung sa loss on the sale of the... Sir, loss po yan eh. Yes, kahit ibenta mo pa ng payog yan. Kasi the tax base is the higher selling price or the fair market value. So fair market value na 1 times 6%. And the business expense, ibabawas mo sa gross income to arrive at the taxable income subject to the graduated tax rates. So in this case, sa royalty from books, the final tax is 4,000, 10%. For the capital gains tax, yung direct sale to the buyer, 10,500 ang applicable tax. Yung sa loss of sale of the land, 6% times 1,200,000. Okay, so your capital gains tax is 82,500. Now, for the basic tax, the taxable income amounts to 400,000. And 400,000, ang income tax dyan ay 30,000. No? Sakto nga, 400,000. So in that case, 2022 GTR yata yan, 30,000. So the total tax expense is 116,500.